Hey everyone, and welcome to another Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a fascinating, and let's be honest, highly charged aspect of the Texas legal system. We are talking about judicial ethics, specifically in family law. We're going to break down exactly how judges are held accountable. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this because it's a terrifying reality, isn't it? I mean, when you walk into a family court, the stakes literally could not be higher. We are talking about child custody, protective services, basically the entire fabric of your life. And you expect the judge to be this neutral, fair umpire. But what do you actually do when the person calling the shot starts demonstrating clear bias, or worse, outright misconduct? It's incredibly frustrating, for sure. But as we're about to uncover today, you are absolutely not powerless.
Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the judicial public trust, defining true judicial misconduct, differentiating between misconduct and legal error, removing a biased judge, and finally, filing a formal complaint.
Section 1. The Judicial Public Trust.
Right, so before we can even talk about a judge breaking the rules, we kind of have to understand the foundation of those rules. Judicial power in Texas is a profound privilege. It's not an absolute right. The preamble of the Texas Code of Judicial Conduct actually says it perfectly. It says, the judge is an arbiter of facts and law and a highly visible symbol of government under the rule of law. Basically, the whole shebang rests on public confidence. Judges are bound by these incredibly strict ethical canons precisely to ensure that you, the public, can actually trust the integrity and independence of the judiciary. Because if that trust is broken, well, the system just completely fails.
Section 2. Defining true judicial misconduct.
Now, despite those incredibly high standards, bad behavior unfortunately does happen. And when it does, the Texas Constitution is crystal clear about what crosses the line. Now, what's really interesting here is that these behaviors aren't just considered, rude. They are actual actionable constitutional violations. If a judge is yelling, using profanity, displaying gender or racial bias, or engaging in ex parte talks, which, if you don't know, means secretly talking to just one side without the other side present, that crosses the line, big time. It also includes using the prestige of their office to advance their own private interests.
19. That is a staggering number. That's the number of mandamuses, which are essentially higher appellate court orders correcting lower court abuses, resulting from just a single Texas district court judge's mishandling of Department of Family and Protective Services cases. Think about that for a second. 19 separate times the appellate court actually had to step in. And the good news? The system really does track this unchecked bias. In May 2025, that exact judge received a public reprimand from the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. This reprimand detailed a massive, ongoing pattern of willful conduct. We're talking about ignoring binding precedent from the Fourth Court of Appeals, straight up disparaging an attorney in open court, and flat out refusing to appoint amicus attorneys. Those are the attorneys appointed specifically to represent the kids involved. She even went as far as using county funds to pay for transcripts for her own personal defense. Wild, right? But it proves that unchecked bias is actively monitored and publicly disciplined.
Section 3. Misconduct versus legal error.
Okay, so before you go rushing to file a complaint against a judge you disagree with, we absolutely have to look at this two buckets analogy. It's going to save you so much time and frustration. So picture two buckets. In the first bucket, on the left, you have legal error. This is a wrong decision on the law or evidence, and the fix for that is an appeal to a higher court. Now, in the second bucket, on the right, you have judicial misconduct. This is your egregious bad faith or persistent pattern of ignoring rules. This is an ethical failure.
And official commission training materials actually state this right up front. The commission has no authority to sanction a judge for mere legal error. Just because you strongly disagree with a custody ruling, or maybe a judge genuinely just misunderstood the law. That alone isn't misconduct. The commission is not an appellate court. They evaluate ethical fitness, not legal accuracy.
Section 4. Removing a biased judge.
So what do you actually do if you're stuck right now in a family law case with a judge who is genuinely biased? Well, Texas law offers two completely distinct mechanisms to get a bad judge off your case. The first path is disqualification. Now, this is mandatory. It's constitutional. If a judge has a financial interest in your case, is related to one of the parties, or is actually a lawyer on your specific matter previously, they are automatically out, disqualified. The second path is recusal, and this falls under Texas Rule of Civil Procedure 18B. This is what you file when a judge has a personal bias or prejudice, and their impartiality might reasonably be questioned.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where these life-saving rules live, right in the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure, under Rule 18B. If you're facing a biased judge in family court,
Filing a motion to recuse forces an immediate pause in your entire case so that another judge can come in and evaluate if removal is actually necessary.
Section 5. Filing a formal complaint. Now, let's say you've handled your immediate case, but you want to ensure this judge faces long-term professional consequences so they can't hurt anyone else. That's when you file a formal complaint with the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, or the SCJC. But listen up, because they are incredibly strict about these procedures. You have to follow them to the letter. First, you download the official form directly from the SCJC website. Second, fill it out completely. I mean completely. Do not leave a single section blank. If you have to, just write NA. Third, and this is absolutely crucial, you must sign the sworn affidavit. And fourth, you have to physically mail it to Austin. They explicitly say no emails, no online forms, no faxes. Literally, if you forget a signature or try to email it, the whole process just stops dead in its tracks.
So once your physical, sworn complaint finally lands in Austin, it enters this official review process. Behind the scenes, the commission staff of investigators and attorneys start digging into your allegations and conducting their own legal research. And if they find evidence of real misconduct, they'll demand a formal response from the judge before taking the whole thing to the 13-member commission for a final decision.
Oh, and a quick point of clarity here, just to save you some really frustrating delays, make absolutely sure you are complaining to the right agency. The SCJC only handles judges. If your grievance is actually against your ex's attorney or maybe even your own attorney, that goes straight to the State Bar of Texas through their formal grievance system. Knowing who has jurisdiction is literally half the battle. Let's move on and see how this builds, because if the commission does find misconduct, a judge faces some seriously escalating professional consequences. It might just start with an order of additional education to, fix a knowledge gap, but then it escalates to public admonitions, warnings, and reprimands, and those are permanently attached to their public record. In severe criminal cases, they can be totally suspended, and for the absolute worst offenses, a special review tribunal can order their permanent removal from the bench. Game over. And this accountability, it's very real, and it is documented. Just looking at recent sanctions, you can see municipal and peace justices receiving private warnings just for lending the prestige of their office to advance private matters. Things like trying to fix a relative's traffic ticket. You just can't do that. As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful quote from Michael Josephson. This is actually used right in the Commission's own training materials for Texas judges. We judge ourselves by our best intentions, our most noble acts. We are judged by our last worst act. The legal system absolutely demands the highest standard of daily conduct from its judges because, as we've seen, public trust is just incredibly fragile. So here is my final question for you today. If you ever encounter a judge crossing that ethical line, are you ready to use this dual path system, a Rule 18b motion to protect your specific case, and a sworn SCJC complaint to protect the public trust? Because knowledge really is your greatest tool in the justice system. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredibly critical topic, and I will catch you in the next explainer.